Hello everyone, and welcome to today's webinar, which is actually more of an interactive creative tutorial on how to make a dance GIF and send it to someone in your world with Matt Cornell. My name is Laura, and it's a pleasure to be with you today for something that's a bit different and a lot more hands-on, exploring the relationship between dance and technology. I would like to start by warmly acknowledging the traditional owners of countries throughout Australia, including where you are joining us from today. I myself come to you from Gadigal land in the Eora Nation, and I pay my deep respect to elders past, present and future. If you would like to, please share an acknowledgement of the country you are on with us today in the chat. Currently on screen there is a blue PowerPoint holding slide with text and video boxes with our Auslan interpreter and guest speaker. I am a woman in my mid-30s. I've got fair skin and dark hair. I'm wearing a stripy shirt and a colourful scarf because I'm freezing today, and I'm coming to you from my study in Marrickville. Before we get started, you would have received an email earlier today with the details to download the app for today's session. This is an interactive session, so you will need to download and use the app called ImgPlay, which you can download from either the Android or the Apple App Store. We'll share the link with you in the chat session, but if you can download that now and install it so you can use it throughout the session, that would be great. I also recommend, if you can, to join on a tablet or a computer or a desktop so that you have your smartphone free to use through the session. Okay, welcome to Creative Connections, a series that we have designed to support you during this time across a range of different topics and themes, including digital, leadership and arts practice adaptation. We are also presenting a series of sector-led sessions proposed by you, and we're very pleased to have Matt Cornell join us today for the second of these sector-led sessions. I think this session actually covers across all three themes of the Creative Connections series, but in a really creative and engaged format. So I'm really excited for the conversations and discussions that are going to come. Whilst today's session is very practical and you will make an actual dance GIF on your phone, it's also a deep exploration into how we create intimacy and connect with each other in the digital space. These are interesting conversations not only for dance, but across the arts, as we have all moved further into the digital space over the past few months, and we consider how we can support and encourage meaningful connections. So as always, I'll quickly go through the housekeeping and features of today's webinar. I know that many of you are well versed in the Zoom functionality, but I'll quickly go through it. Closed captioning is available. You can turn it on by pressing the CC button at the bottom of your Zoom window. We'll also be running a chat throughout today's session, and we'll also be sharing links with you in the chat feature. So make sure you check in there and get access to those links. The chat will also be an opportunity for you to ask any tech-related questions to the Australia Council team, who'll be able to support you if you're having troubles with the app or the technology through the session. We'll also be running a Q&A with Matt at the end of the session. And again, this Q&A is more about the ideas and the conceptual kind of approach of Matt's work rather than the technical capabilities. We'll try and get to as many questions as we can, but if we don't get to it, you can always write us an email at leadershipprogram@australiacouncil.gov.au. And finally, we are recording today's session and it will be published on our website in the coming days, and so share it with anyone you think might be interested. This session today is also being streamed on our Facebook page, so you can also go back to the Facebook page and share or tag anyone you think might be interested. Oh God. All right, so it is with great pleasure that I introduce to you Matt Cornell today, dancer, artist and choreographer. Currently on screen is a blue PowerPoint slide to introduce Matt as our speaker with some text and an image of Matt dancing. He is being held in the air by another person in a dark lit studio. Matt's practice is based in the tropics and he works on Larrakia land in Darwin, Northern Territory. His work examines the relationship between physically embodied dance practice and the digital space, and this session focuses specifically on his project, the GIF of Dance. As Matt says, the GIF of Dance is a simultaneous global world premiere of a new dance work delivered to you via SMS on the day that it is made, each day for a 10-day season. It will work on most phones with a colour screen. In excellent news, the GIF of Dance has just confirmed another season, and you can find out more and register via Matt's website, which is currently on screen, but we'll also share it with you in the chat. I've signed up and I'm really looking forward to it. Whilst this session does invite you to record, make and send a GIF to someone, it's a lot more than that. Matt's work looks at accessibility and how as artists we can create intimate, accessible and engaging work. There are physical limitations of a theatre or dance performance, not just in the time of social distancing and COVID-19, but in our societies, and these often exclude people, whether through cost, shift work commitments, physical access or location. These spaces are often not accessible for all. And absolutely not accessible during this time we are all experiencing. So how can we use technology for more accessible art without compromising the intimacy or experience? The seemingly simple GIF is a way to explore this question, and Matt encourages us to use technology and interrogate and reflect on how we engage and participate in creative practice, both as an artist, maker and audience. His work is both playful and thoughtful, and it's a real pleasure to have him with us today. Thanks so much, Matt. I'm going to hand over to you now and let's make a dance GIF.
Wow, I'm going to try and live up to that intro. Incredible. G'day everyone, my name is Matt Cornell. I think for people who can't see me clearly, I have a side part in my hair that my granddad taught me, and I must have a very approachable look because in Macca's this morning, an old couple came up to ask me if I could help them complete their self-checkout on the menu screen. And I wasn't wearing any red. I definitely didn't look like I worked there. So that's probably the best I can do to describe myself. As it was said, I am a choreographer. I work across many formats. I know the art world uses the word mediums. But at the core, I think all I'm ever doing is applying a choreographic sensitivity to that medium and to that context, and then to the people that I'm inviting to share that context with me. I grew up in Darwin on Larrakia land, so a wet-dry season cycle is much more familiar to me than the 4 seasons that the southern parts of Australia have adopted. And I just want to say that I'm very lucky to center myself there with collaborative projects currently going on in Philippines and Singapore, while also Sydney and Perth. And so there's this radius that I see myself in. And the GIF of Dance project that I'll talk about, I'm really excited that the audience for it are spread across this entire time zone. 2 o'clock in Perth is also 2 o'clock in Singapore, is also 2 o'clock in Manila. And that's pretty incredible that we can have that kind of real-time audience engagement interaction. The GIF of Dance. In 2015, I was taking jobs as a photographer of dance shows. I have many other jobs in between being a choreographer, sometimes composing music for dance, and sometimes dramaturging or mentoring other choreographers. What I found through flicking through the job dial is that there was I was tickled by how my brain filled in the missing frames. And there was always a joy or an excitement of showing the dancer that little moment where they're like, go. And so I just started sending them to my friends. And that's what we're going to do today. Nothing more extreme than that. But of course, in true independent artist fashion, I managed to turn it into a project. And the way that we've built on this after a residency that was supported by Dirty Feet in here at Ready Made Space, and another residency supported by Metro Arts, working with incredible collaborators, including Courtney Shue for one of those seasons, was that it wasn't as frivolous as I thought, that actually making a dance on your own time in your own space with whatever you have and sending it to the audience that you choose as an individual gift rather than as a broadcast is some kind of rebellion against many things, but I think against the institutional framework of what gets validated and by the kind of structures that then exclude people from accessing those things that get validated. Which is to say, my brother runs a trucking company and he's up at 4, but that means he's in bed by 6. He's not coming to my show at 8, even though he loves me and supports me. And so that means that if I'm making a dance at 10 a.m. and I'm on the other side of the world or another country or whatever, I can send it to him. And then there's contemporary dance choreography, which I'm not going to say that I can, but I work towards being on pushing the edge of what choreography is and can be. And that's reaching people who the theatre is not their space, regardless of any other access requirements of living in the big city. So very simply, I work with a team of dancers that inspire me, and we make a new dance show every day. You sign up to be an audience member of this season, and each day of that season, whether it's a 5-day season or a 10-day season, you will get a premiere dance work via SMS to your phone. And if we didn't make it that day, we won't send it to you that day. So you know when you get it that someone somewhere is doing that dancing in that place. Regardless of all of that, what was really exciting to me was some of the audience made their own GIFs and sent them back to us during our testing phase of them dancing or of other people dancing. And so I want us to do that today. Let me walk you through it. All you do is get a phone and you put it in self-timer mode. By the top left-hand for my screen, there's a little clock button and it gives me 3-second or 10-second option. I'm going to choose 10-second option. And then I'm going to step back and you can see that it'll count me down. And it's flashing me down. And now I try and think about something to do. And now it's captured a whole bunch of photos for me. So for people who are at home, go into your, if you're on iOS, go into your camera app and choose the, there's many ways to do this. If you want to stand away from the camera, choose the self-timer function and put it down and then step back like I just did, and I'll do some more. If you want to just have it close to you, you can actually just flip the camera to face you and then hold it down, and it'll take heaps of photos like that. So this is the first step. I'm going to do a few more so that I've got some images to play with to turn into a GIF of dance. And so you also can just watch me do that, or you can try and do that with your phone app. So once again, top left-hand corner on my iOS, press the timer, choose 10 seconds, and then step back. It doesn't have to be an impressive move, but upside down is usually nice. For example, something else maybe is to move across frame, because we're not only choreographing with the body in space, also now we're choreographing with the frame. So I might or not across frame, but from upstage to downstage. I'll do one more. You don't have to watch, you can just see what you can do with your own ones. Okay, So, sorry, I can't see if you're ready or not, but I'll just press on. I'm going to share my phone screen with you. But before I do that, I'll show you. Leave the photo taking app and go into the ImgPlay app that you downloaded. Okay, now I'm going to switch to share my phone screen so you can see more closely what's going on. Okay, let me know, Houseco team, if this isn't working. So we're just in the ImgPlay app. And you can see from the top in the middle, there's a button that says burst. I prefer the aesthetics that go with burst, but you can choose videos that you've taken, other photos that you've taken, other moments or whatever, but we'll stick with burst for today. Now I'm just going to choose the most recent one I did down the bottom. So I watch it for a while and I think it's a GIF, but is it a GIF of dance? Is there some kind of choreography going on? For an example, this is what a GIF of dance has looked like in the past when I've sent it out to audience members that we're testing on. Something like this. Turn the screen down so you can see. Or maybe something like this. And so they receive the GIF. There's a little bit of text called the GIF of Dance, the title, and then underneath it is the name, the credits of the performers. In this case, it's Katina Olsen and Reina Takeuchi. And then we've credited the location as well. Before it gets, this is what the audience will get in the season. But before it gets to this stage, we have to try and make some kind of work of art, which is intimidating. Okay, I'm going to switch back to sharing my phone screen so I can talk you through how it goes. I would usually look at all of these. This is a different one that I did. I don't think there's anything there. I also don't think there's anything there. I definitely don't think there's anything there. Maybe this is a good example. So this, I wouldn't say is anything yet. If you press, but let's walk through and see what we can do with it. The 6 boxes next to the next button in the top right-hand corner, press those, and you can take individual frames out. So I might want to take out the 3 frames where I'm standing still. So I'm straight up. Or I may want to take out that whole first bit, which means I can grab this edge and slide it in. Now, if I thought that was something, I could move down to the bottom slider and slide across and slow it down or speed it up. I don't think the sped up often looks good, but sometimes if you take out almost all the frames and it's just the first and last frame at maximum speed, something interesting might happen. You can check by, another thing I usually do is go down to the very bottom menu. There's on the right-hand side, there's a circular arrow. To the left of that is the crop tool. And you can actually choose a square or some other predefined 4:3 like TV size to zoom in on it. Or I could decide to crop it way smaller than that. And then you see how the frame has changed because the subject has left the frame. Okay, so I didn't think this was anything, and maybe it's still not anything, but I do like the play of those colors. Another thing that I try and do is just to the left of that crop button is 3 circles. When I press on the 3 circles, I get these options to run different filters over them. Now, filter, it's not too important for me for the aesthetic, but what filters can be used for is to lower the amount of information in the file. And what's cool about that is that when we're talking about access, I want this to be able to get to as many people as possible, which means if you've got a phone from Coles from 10 years ago, it should still play on your phone. So the way that I achieve that is by cropping, by filtering. Then when we hit the next button in the top right-hand corner and save, I want to choose low quality. And then I want to choose to loop forever. And it says 27 kilobytes. You can go up to as high as you can, but you want to stay below 500 kilobytes. So if I said save, high quality, loop forever, still below 500, which means that most phones with a color screen will be able to get it. And then you can just share low quality to someone. Let's choose a different GIF so I can talk you through how to possibly make something good. So you can either watch what I do, or you can just keep playing with your own images that you've shot on your phone. And I'll just talk you through how I use these things to try and make a GIF of dance. I think there's something going on, but I'm not quite sure yet. So I'm going to play with the speed, because to make something more extreme sometimes reveals to you what is the thing that you are interested by. So now that I've made it slow, I kind of see that these moments where I'm staring down the camera, I don't like that. So I'd go to the boxes button, which is next to the next button, confusing. And I would take out those frames where I'm staring down the camera. Oh, there's still a few there. So I'll go back in, take them out. And now what I see is that maybe there's one frame there that is before I'm in full spin that is getting in the way of this perfect loop GIF idea, where it would feel like I'm just looping forever. And then maybe if I speed that up again, a rhythm emerges, some kind of musicality. It's the thing about GIF, because it doesn't have a start or an end, you watch it for as long as you want. And because there is no music, there's no inference of arc, thematic or dramatic or emotional. But what you can infer is the rhythm itself by the jump point of reset. I would say if you speed it right up, almost no rhythm. Slow it down a bit, little bit of looping rhythm. Slow it down a bit more, you can see there's a ga, 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 ga that keeps resetting. Maybe this is still not interesting. So then I'll use my crop again, which is the second from the bottom right. And I'll maybe choose 16:9, which is cinema, and see if that kind of framing can change something about it. I don't think so. Yeah. So what I notice now that I've cropped in is that there's a second subject enters, which is my shadow, which I could focus on entirely. Anyway, I don't like any of that, so I'll go back and choose a different one. This is an L kick, or a K kick, it's sometimes called, that I learned from being in a break crew called Style Impressions Crew when I was a teenager. I mean, we're still in a crew, but we just don't go to battles anymore. So what I might do here is crop this way down. And to give it a sense of musicality, I might go into these boxes next to the next button and take out the preparation frames, but not all of them. I'll leave number 1 in. So there's a pre and then there's in, like that. You can see that suddenly there's a slowing down of time. We've jumped and then we slow down. There's a reverse down the bottom left-hand side, but I almost never use it because it feels like cheating. And there's also a back and forth if you press it twice, but I actually like the reset. So I'd say maybe that's a dance GIF, but it's not yet what I would feel like. Okay, here's 2 questions that I am always asking myself. The first one is, what is what you're doing to you? And then the second one is it something or is it nothing? And I think what I've made so far is nothing. So you can watch me go back in to my camera and try again. Timer, 10 seconds, and I'm just going to try and do some other move. A few times. All right, we get out of that, and then we go back to the ImgPlay app, and I'll see if there's anything. Oh, okay, so accidents can often be the actual genius. I had intended to record me falling, but not to record me getting up. But this GIF now begins at the splat point. And maybe there's something in there where if I press this button to take out the middle frames, there's a musicality that appears, a rhythm. And I'd probably take out that last step as well. I don't work on a GIF for too long if it's not telling me what it needs to become. Ooh. Okay, I'm going to slow this one down. This just did something. How somehow it got 3 frames at the start that I think are interesting. And then there's one in the middle that I want to take out. So I press this button next to the next button. I think it's that one and that one. See how I almost arrived, but the arriving is what sets me back. I'll speed that up again. Oh, okay, I know I said that I feel like reversing is cheating, but I think that rhythm is a nicer rhythm than this rhythm. I would still run it through the filter to try and take as much information out as possible. And then I would still crop it in some kind of 16 by 9 to try and see if I can get it looking a bit more cinematic, and so that I can enter the frame from being out of the frame. I don't know, all I can say is what I'm looking for is the thing that makes me keep watching, because that sensibility is what I'm relying on for making the decision of, is this compelling enough to be called a choreography? And is this compelling enough to take up people's time when I send it to them? Will this feel like a gift of dance when I send it? And I'm not sure. So that one frame, I think that changed a lot. So next, and I'll just save that. Low quality, check the file size, repeat forever, 256. Okay, that's good one to send. And then what I'll do, you're watching the whole process here, is that I'll go back to camera, I'll set it up again, or maybe I'll go to a different location. And I'll record it. Oh, put the timer on. Usually I've got other dancers that I'm working with, and so I'm much more inspired than just my own moves. Being silly can sometimes help, not trying to foresee what the genius could become. And also maybe sometimes doing some dance charades where you pretend that you've ever done a particular style, like from MTV, and then you just try and do it. Also, I find the costume that you wear, especially the shoes, that really impacts what you do. Okay, last time we'll go into burst mode and we'll just have a look. Maybe I don't like any of that. I just like, okay, abandon. I'm abandoning it. Oh, well, that's just pure anticipation there. Again, I'll take out the preparation frames. Maybe there's something into that. I'm going to try and crop it. A different crop, go square. I mean, there's something that I always remember when I choose the square option, is that usually you choose a square if you're making things for Instagram. The reason I specifically keep all of these off socials is twofold. One is that the social media doesn't allow you to embed GIFs. It just invents a video file. But a video file dictates to you how long you watch it, what is the beginning, what is the ending, what is important. And I think the liberation of GIF is not that. Also, a video file is very processor intensive and network intensive. So if you're mustering in the bush and you just got enough for an SMS, you'll still get a GIF, but you can't watch Vimeo. So I'm not interested in anything that I'm doing here, but the reset of my left foot has become interesting to me. See that little blur? I don't know why. But there's a frame there that I don't like. It's that side one. Maybe it's the first one. Well, this also often happens, that you try and pin down the thing that is that you're curious about and you wreck it. Moving on. I mean, these are ones that I've done actually out in an environment, which I think might have some other things to do. The other reason that I keep it off socials is because I don't think it has power when it's broadcast. I think it has, and by power I mean potency, and in that, when they say it's the thought, not the gift, that counts. I think this is the thing. If you make something, you send it to someone, I think that's where the power is. Maybe I can crop this in. I will take out this frame. So that you don't get any chance to see the face. I'll speed it up to see what the rhythm's like. Anyway, I don't think I've made a good GIF of dance, but I made lots of GIFs, and I hope that you all made lots of GIFs, and you can share them to people and send them to people. And if you're keen and you sign up for GIF of Dance to be an audience member, what you'll see each day when you receive the GIF is the background information from this workshop, which says that even though you received one GIF, you know that we probably spent 10 hours making GIFs to try and find that one that went from frivolous, fun, nothing into something that is compelling or that feels like a little valuable present. I think that's all that I've got today.
Thanks, Matt. Thank you.
Did you make some?
You know, I did. I didn't dance.
And are you proud of them?
You know, what I loved about your session is you think that it's quite easy and straightforward, but it's actually hard. And you can spend a lot of time really reflecting on it, and it does become a creative process and an art form in and of itself. So I definitely like that. I didn't make one organized. So
did I leave enough time for questions?
We're going to go to questions now.
Great.
And I will just invite anybody who hasn't shared a question, that has a question for Matt, to share it with us in the Q&A section, and we'll try and get to a couple. Let me just have a look and see where we're at. Yeah, so I think, yeah, send any through. I guess I can start with a question from me.
Oh, great.
Just because I'm deeply interested in how this works. So when you're working with other artists, not just your own kind of dance practice, how does this change the process of the GIF making?
I don't know if this will seem so obvious to anyone, but actually I can only attribute any success to the team that I'm working with. And there's something about the generosity and the generosity in being there for each other, and in quickly switching roles between being an audience or being a performer or being a grip, like on a set, like, no, I'll just hold that thing while you do that thing, or that twofold skill base of seeing the potential before it's become clear, to people who don't often work in this space, and then knowing where they can slot themselves in to help it become clear so that then we can share it with people. That doesn't answer your question, but it expresses my wonderment each time I'm lucky enough to have the resources to employ dancers to work with.
Great, thank you. And we do have a question that's just come through anonymously, but how do you think that this has evolved or adapted, I guess, your choreography or your choreograph?
How has it evolved? I have made work for screen and have made work for theatre, and I'm currently making work for theatre. And I've also made work for text publication, a project called Dance Together. And it is actually a book, which is a series of steps to take so that people who don't know the same dance can come together and dance together without needing to know each other's dance. And so there's something where perhaps it is another outlet, just another outlet for the questions that I have, which is about how can we live better? How can we live together but do it better? And how do we, I guess maybe to get more and deeper behind GIF itself, it's an old technology, and because it came about in '86 and I was born in '85, it's pretty native to me. I don't see it as any more flashy than a stop sign, like a traffic light. But that means that when I make a dance and send it to somebody, I'm not sending them a technology project, I'm just sending them a dance piece. And it's no different than when we made the book, or when you make a flip book and send it to someone. It's not, I think you make whatever you can with whatever you've got for whoever you hope to serve.
Great, thank you. And I guess a perfect follow-on is a question that's come through is, what has been the audience response to the project and to the show?
Well, we're just about to have our very first public season. In the past, we've had trial runs and experiment audiences to see if this actually hits home with anyone else or if it's just me. I would say delight is probably the best word. Like it's a little bit of that cheeky delight when people used to pass notes in class or whatever, like you're at your job and you're driving a dozer, or you're like taking someone's blood, or you're sending an email, or you're filling out a spreadsheet, or you're cleaning a truck, and then suddenly you get this buzz, like, and you just check it, and it's these guys dancing, and you're like, yeah, that's cool. So some people have sent it back to us, like they've made their own dances and sent it back. Some people just send back emojis, clapping emojis and smiley faces. Some people just send back, oh, that's my favorite one. And then 2 days later, they're like, oh, no, this is my favorite one. And then I guess a lot of people I found out later who never reply. I've found out through friends of friends that they found themselves 3 or 4 or 5 days later pulling out their phone and scrolling back up to a particular one and sitting with it. And that's not something I was expecting. I didn't expect that the momentary became the infinite at the decision of the viewer. That's something really poetic and nice and intimate, I think. And I am always striving for intimacy within the physicality. Yeah.
Thanks, Matt. That's beautiful. And I mean, I think we all need more delight. So if that's an excellent one to have. So we might leave it there. I think we're kind of running out of time. Thank you so much for taking the time to give us a real insight into the way that you work and your actual very deeply considered creative process. It was a real privilege to see that in action, and I hope everybody takes it with them and has a play around and explore within the app and what it can offer you and your practice, whatever it might be. To finish up, I'm just going to do a quick bit of housekeeping. We have sent you a midpoint survey, everybody that's registered for any of the sessions. We'll share the link with you again now in the chat, but the survey is really just an opportunity for you to give us feedback on the series, what's worked, what hasn't worked, what you'd like to see, what could be improved. Any kind of feedback is really valuable for us to make sure that we are creating programs that are responsive to the sector and the sector needs. So if you have a couple of minutes, we'd really appreciate if you could complete that for us. And we do have another session on Friday. It is on creating authentic and engaging artist-led education programs with Tom Reddit, who is the Education Officer at Tanandi at Art Gallery of South Australia. It's going to be a really excellent session, and Ian will be hosting that. And then next Wednesday, digital equality, finding inclusion in online spaces with access to arts. Again, just a very practical session on how and the processes and best practice for digital inclusion in this space. So I think that that's it. If you have any questions that we haven't got to, if you have any kind of follow-up queries or issues, you can send us an email. But otherwise, thank you, Matt. Thank you, David, for interpreting for us today. We are really happy that everyone made it today, and we look forward to seeing you again next time. Thanks very much.
And I look forward to everyone signing up at gifofdance.com if they want to be in the audience for our upcoming 10-day season in the Northern Territory. I can't wait.
Great. Thanks so much. I can't wait either. Thank you. Thanks, Matt.
Bye.